Welcome to the Nerve Guys podcast, where we discuss movement, performance, and rehabilitation through the lens of the brain and nervous system. The Nerve Guys podcast is hosted by Gareth Kelly and James McCambridge. To find out more about the Nerve Guys or to book into our online or in-person training programs, please visit thenerveguys.co.uk. The Nerve Guys podcast is sponsored by Elite Vision Sticks. Every day, athletes of all levels are reaching their full performance potential with Elite Vision Sticks. Pick up yours today. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Nerve Guys podcast. It's James and Gareth here, and today we are joined by Stephen Obergan, and this one's a little bit different from usual because Stephen is actually a client of ours, but as well as a client, I would say, well, Stephen, you might agree with me, you're probably a bit of an expert on chronic pain management yourself by now. How you doing, first of all?
Yeah, very good. Nice to meet you guys. Happy to be invited onto here. Thanks for letting me on. And it probably is an unfortunate thing to have that I probably am a chronic pain expert now. So, but I am pretty excited to kind of talk through the story and the kind of journey and kind of where it started and where we're at now, and how you guys have supported as well. So, looking forward to telling that story.
Yeah, cool. And I think that's gonna hopefully this is really useful for other people as well, because I know, having spoken to you about this before, you've got some really good stories about things that you've tried, things that you've done, things that have happened to you. And I guess like you've kind of, I don't know whether you would say you've got to completely the end of it now, but you seem to be dealing with it really well.
Yeah, so I think, important things that I always say to like people listen to this and stuff like that, I'm kind of not at the end of the journey right now, but I think that almost is as well another good thing, because I'm kind of not going on there saying, hey, I've solved everything. You must follow this process, because that's, again, another important thing. I think hopefully sort of the stuff will resonate with what other people are maybe feeling, or the kind of journeys they're going on, and some of the advice and experience I've got can help. But there isn't, and I'm sure you two guys probably admit this as well, the amount of customers and clients and stuff you meet, there's not kind of one. I'm sure you guys have asked, like, hey, what's the best exercise for an L5, S1 back injury? It's like, no, there isn't such a thing. It's it's a number of things. It's having a plan and stuff like that. So I'm quite keen and happy to kind of share my plan on what's happened, and then hopefully people can kind of take the big bit, the best bits, and kind of what's resonated with them, and hopefully help them on their journey. But yeah.
And to be honest, I think that's probably one of the reasons why you've done so well is just the acknowledging that like your health is going to be this lifelong journey. Like, I think one of the big obstacles for people in the beginning is that idea of somebody should just be able to come and fix them. You do that one thing and then that's gonna you'll be fixed, and then you can go off and just get on with your life. But actually there's a full journey in that, and understanding your body and owning what happens.
So let me take you, this is the bit I need to I'll condense this bit to as short as possible, because I'm sure everyone doesn't want to know my kind of back life story kind of thing. But I'm 40 years old. I was 40, kind of I'm 6 months into my 40th. This original, and previous to kind of going to the gym and kind of working out this stuff, I've always been super active, semi-professional footballer, play a lot of golf, play a lot of tennis, watch every sport there is, kind of hugely into that kind of environment. And then kind of got into the gym, I'd say, as I kind of turned 30-ish is probably when I think probably about 10 years I've kind of been into lifting weights and kind of exercising. As my football career kind of went to this, and I kind of lost interest in kind of football and got a bit older and less athletic and stuff like that, I needed something else to compete. Golf didn't quite do it in terms of like kind of competitiveness and pushing the boundaries and stuff. So going to the gym was my thing that kind of got me into it when I was, say about 10 years ago. Loved it, loved kind of learning about body, kind of though, looking back on it, it was ridiculous. Like, I was definitely that first guy that kind of went in. I'm 6'3". I'm kind of like, let's just go and do bench presses. I can't even, I don't even think I did legs for the first 3 years of kind of going to the gym. It was biceps, chest, shoulders, and kind of a little bit of core, just to kind of like fix it kind of off. But it was all about how do I look good on the kind of, the beach or that kind of stuff. And worked well for a few years, everything was going kind of great. Then, and also probably to know, I had no injuries during my whole football career. I had no injuries at all. I've never broken a bone, nothing. Kind of just gone through life, sailing through, not ever thinking about a body or having an injury or anything like that. Then, like 6 years ago, was at the gym, kind of doing a bent over row, pretty poor form. I didn't even really know how to spell the word form again at this stage, kind of thing, just absolutely lifting as heavy as I could. As I was kind of doing one of the reps, a guy kind of to the side of me said, "Hey, can I use that bar after you?" I kind of twisted like that, say, "Yeah, okay, yeah, no worries." Bang, like something went in my back. I was like, "Oh, wow, okay," dropped the kind of weight. Kind of did the whole, hey, I'm probably not injured kind of thing. Hey, just kind of like, right, if I couldn't actually stand up, I kind of like just bent up as well as I could. Got out, walked out of the gym, couldn't even get into the car, kind of said, right, this is so funny as well, thinking on this kind of pain journey I've been on. But at that point, I was like, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Just go to sleep, wake up next day, it'll be fine. Alarm clock goes off next day. I couldn't even move my arm to kind of get up. I knew I had a bit of an issue. So again, kind of long story short, had the kind of classic L5 S1 lower back, 2 herniated discs, went to see a back specialist. He was kind of, I thought he was one of the better back surgeons I've seen, where he's kind of like, hey, look, you've got two herniated discs. No big deal. You're super fit. You're still super young, athletic, all this kind of stuff. Just kind of rest it. Do this, and this. He did give me some interesting ones though. Going back to it, he said, never do kettlebell swings, never do deadlifts again, never do rowing, and I can't remember what the fourth one was now, but again, kind of looking back to these, it's quite funny. Never do a kettlebell swing. It's just like such a generic kind of thing to do. But I didn't even really take much notice of that guy. Then I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, no worries. He kind of said, look, you'll be fixed in a year's time. And that was another funny thing, a year to get that fixed. So he was pretty much spot on though. I kind of did some PT. I put some focus in it. After a year, fully fixed. I thought, great. Went back to the gym. Had a kind of redid the injury again, L5S1. They said, okay, this time, why don't you get an injection this time in your back? I was like, okay, no problems. Went to the hospital, got an injection on my back, woke up. I was like, oh my God, it was like I had a brand new back. It was like, this is unbelievable. This is the best thing ever. Like, why the hell didn't they give me this injection the first time round? Like, why did I waste a whole year of trying to kind of rehab and stuff? So I kind of went back. I in that time, I got married. I had a kid. I didn't ever think about my back kind of once. I thought it was completely solved. Kind of went back to doing the kind of bad form, lifting, smashing out heavy weights, all that kind of stuff. Bang, hit again. A third time, 2 herniated discs again for the third time in, a matter of a couple of years. And, what was the solution? Saw the back guy, get that injection in you again. Let's get like a steroid injection in your back. Okay, fantastic. Don't worry about it. Only issue the second time was there was absolutely zero pain relief this time. I was like, this didn't quite work as well as last time. Okay, we can do another one. Went back in, had another injection, nothing. Okay, well, look, and at this point, I've got kind of like raging sciatica down my leg as well. Kind of my legs sort of stopped working. I'm like, it's struggling to sit down. Really starting to affect my life in terms of just general, like being able to sit down on a computer or sit in the car, going long journeys and stuff. I was like, okay, this is actually a bit more serious now. Kind of like, went back to the whole, well, let's just do the rehab thing, take a year. And it never kind of went away. It was kind of always on my mind. I started to kind of, the pain started to kind of consume me in terms of making decisions about what I was going to do with my life and stuff. And I said, then I get down to, 2 years ago now, made the decision. They were kind of like, look, you're still in pain. The sciatica was so bad, I couldn't kind of sleep very well, do the driving of the car. They said, look, we think you should go for an operation this time, have a microdiscectomy. I thought long and hard about it. I was super long and hard about it. Got a second opinion. Second opinion was like even worse. Like, oh, you should have got this operation done ages ago. Like, this is the thing to do. It's sitting on your sciatic nerve. So we cut it away. It'll all be gone. So yeah, 2 years ago, I had that operation done, microdiscectomy, cut the small part of it away that released the sciatic nerve. Kind of woke up next day. The pain had gone completely from my leg. My back was super stiff and everything. I think I was saying to you guys, actually, I know I've got like 4 videos actually that I YouTubed the day before the operation, the day of the operation, week and the 2 weeks afterwards. Quite interesting to look at those videos. That I was kind of like, hey, pain-free, this is great. Went again on that kind of rehab journey, but kind of never got the power back in my left leg. Never kind of got rid of that sciatic feeling. Always kind of had like numbness in my foot. And then I kind of went again on this journey of like, well, how do I get this fixed? Because I'd probably say to myself, I was 70% fixed, if that was right. I had good days and bad days, but kind of like 70%. But I don't think a day ever went by where I didn't think about my back or think about making a decision based on my sciatica and the symptoms I was having and stuff like that. And slowly, that started to consume. I consumed it, and I became, because I had never had an injury and I've been super fit and all this kind of stuff. I was just like, how can I not fix this? How has this gone on so long? I can't get my head around it. And I've had an operation and it's still wrong. And then I started to go and this is, I feel where this is quite a bit of the interesting part of the journey. Well, for a start, when you have a back operation, you just get a back operation. They show you the door, and there's absolutely no kind of like, go and see this team, or this is the way. It's literally, you have a major surgery on your back, and they literally open the door, do what you want. Don't come back in 2 weeks. Don't come. It's quite a scary thing to do. And I think this is the problem where there's a huge gap in kind of the NHS or operations and stuff, and actually kind of maybe working with actual experts like yourselves. Because also then what's happened is Instagram and stuff like that has kind of brought this whole generation of kind of people who think they're brilliant and like PT specialists and stuff, but actually do more damage than good. Yeah. And I kind of went down this path, and I know I've told you guys kind of some of the scary stories. I kind of won't go into them all, but I then went to go. I went to kind of like a normal PT, started kind of lifting and getting back to kind of my normal stuff, but then kept having little twinges and thought maybe this isn't the right route to do. So then I went to see a specific back rehab expert who and I really got into like the Stuart McGill. I don't know if I can name people here or whether this is going to get you. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I swear, I tell you, anyone knows probably watching this who knows my story, who's had a back L5, L1 has probably heard of Stuart McGill and kind of like the McGill 3 and all his kind of methods and stuff. So, and then I found an expert near where I lived who kind of had gone and done McGill training and was like a McGill special back expert. And this was where it started to get to probably my lowest point of everything, because I'd obviously gone and tried the whole, right, I'm just going to go back and lift. That kind of didn't work. I'm just going to go back and kind of do my own stuff. That kind of didn't work. Let's go down this kind of McGill, and this kind of method is much more kind of lack of movement and kind of almost the anti stuff that you guys teach, right? It's kind of right. If your back is injured, do not move it in certain ways that's going to piss it off. Do not bend over forward. Do not kind of arch your back. Do not kind of move to the side. Do not do this. And yeah, so I kind of went on this other program where, the start of the program was essentially do nothing for like, the first 3 weeks, 4 weeks, kind of do nothing. And I just got massages and kind of, dry needling and stuff like that. And some of the massaging, I mean, there was a specific one like going into the glutes where I'd walk out of there like John Wayne, and I'd go back to my wife. I was in my bedroom and my wife was like, "What the hell has happened to your backside?" And I'd have bruises kind of like the size of the hands where the guy had literally kind of like just drummed into my glutes and stuff like that. And then the program started, and the program was kind of like, right, it was all about bracing the core and not moving in a certain direction. And I was kind of doing like, a side I can't remember what they're called now, a side glute bridge with a band on.
Oh, like clams.
Yeah, clamshells. That was basically what I did. Basically did clamshells for like 3-4 weeks. It got to the point where even, I was in the gym and my shoelace was undone. I went to bend down to do my shoelace, and the guy was like, no, what are you doing? I was like, what? He goes, you haven't braced your core before you've done you put your shoelace on. And I was like, oh, sorry about that. Sorry. And then when I'm at home, I was picking up a plate from like the dishwasher, bracing my core as I'm picking up a plate from the dishwasher. And my wife's like, what on earth are you doing? And I'm just like, well, no, my back guy specialist says, if you don't, brace your core as you bend over, you're going to hurt your back again. Forget, I had 2 kids, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old at the time. I didn't pick the kids up for a year. I didn't, it's actually quite a sad existence of my life where I was thinking about how to pick up a plate from a dishwasher. And I started getting a lot worse. The symptoms got a lot worse. my social life kind of went downhill. I was kind of making decisions on, yeah, guy, do you want to come to the pub? Nah, not really, because I might injure this back actually if I do that. And hey, do you want to take the kids to the park? Nah, because I don't want to have to pick them up and put them in the car, because if I don't brace my core correctly, I might and it wasn't long after I sort of met you guys, really, to be honest with you. Now the drum roll of meeting you guys. But the other one was actually going back to the different surgeon, and this is probably again another low point. It was actually the surgeon and this PT guy were connected. They had a relationship. So the guy was like, "Look, you should probably get another MRI scan on your back." So I was like, "Okay." I was doing whatever he said at this point. I was like, right. When I got an MRI scan, went back to this surgeon who was kind of like, had his own back clinic in London and everything. And at that point, I still remember it now in my brain of how scared I was when he was like, because I didn't have private healthcare or anything at this point. And he was like, look, you've still got that curvature here. That thing's still sitting on your sciatic nerve. Even the way you're sitting there, I don't really like the way you're sitting on that chair. You look kind of uncomfortable. Yes. And I was like, well, what do you recommend? And he was like, oh, well, we can probably actually kind of put some metal rods in your back and we can have kind of, and obviously you're playing golf and stuff. He's like, yeah, we did, Tiger Woods. Have you seen how Tiger Woods is? Yeah, we could definitely do some kind of metal rods and work in there and stuff like that. And I was like, well, how much is that? I haven't got private healthcare. And he's like, well, it's probably, 25 grand is probably what you're going to do. And I was like, oh my God. And I went out of there going, oh my God. Like I went back to my wife. I was just like, I'm in big trouble here. Like we're gonna have to spend 25 grand. And he's saying I need surgery. The other surgery hasn't worked. I need more surgery. My brain, I can't pick up my kids. I can't do this. And that, even speaking about it now, kind of just puts like, goosebumps on me, thinking just how bad a place I was in at that point. And just, we'll probably talk about this in a minute, right? This might be a nice segue for you guys to talk into it. But I feel the importance of an expert or a so-called expert telling you are injured, telling you your back is not functioning correctly, and what happens to your mind when people say you can't do that is actually mind-blowing to me. How much of a difference it makes. And I'll make it a segue into you guys. The first call I had with Gareth, I remember the Zoom call, and I kind of explained this kind of stuff. And one of the things they said to me was your sciatic nerve or your calf muscle, because I've still got kind of weakness in that calf, will never come back. I remember Gareth just going, that's rubbish. I bet you I can get that calf working for you. What about this? No, don't worry about it. Look at this. I'm going to build you a very specific program. It's going to be much more focused on, have you looked about moving your eyes? Have you thought about the brain? Have you kind of shut your eyes, balanced? And I was like, this is, really? Do you think, do you kind of think so? And, fast forward to where we're at now, I find it like ridiculous that I kind of been lifting weights and everything for 10 years. And I've never worked on that. I've never worked on the brain. I've never worked on, which is the actual thing that controls everything. And I've never once worked that out, or kind of, all I've actually had is actually surgeons and so-called experts telling me I'm injured and my body's not functioning correctly and I need surgery. Therefore, the brain just kind of sends all these other different signals down to my body.
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting part, isn't it? Because you have been working your nervous system, just not consciously, like you haven't been aware of it. And as far as your nervous system was concerned, like at least with the weights and the dumbbells, that was you doing that to yourself. So it kind of had a way of predicting what was happening. Whereas somebody coming and sticking a knife in you and kind of cutting stuff out actually is, if it physically relieves some of the stuff, that can be quite good. But if from what your brain perceives, it's like, oh man, somebody just came and took out a bit of my spine. Like, I'm pretty sure I needed that. And that can be quite threatening. And I find it really interesting, that whole thing of, in fact, was this you? I'm trying to remember if this was you that told me this. When after you had the surgery, did they come and like show you the bit of the
I was just about to say that. I was just about to say that to you. Yeah. I was knocked out for the surgery. The surgery went on for 2 hours. I was kind of waking up from general anesthetic, kind of a bit dozy, and the nurse was quite proud to bring me this little jar that essentially had a slight bit of my disc in the jar, going, there you go, this is the bit we've cut out. We got rid of it. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. And it's like a weird, like, it's kind of maybe not right to compare it completely, but like the witch doctor kind of thing where they pull out the worm and they go, oh, look, I found this inside you. And the placebo benefits to that are huge, because you go like, oh man, yeah, that was the problem, and look at the size of it, and everything, and the massage, like where it's, you see physical bruises, and it's all sort of, oh, you can see the results, so this is probably helping, but the result it didn't show was like the actual improved, better movement, which I think one of the things we always go for is like, we want to see you move better if we're seeing a good result.
Yeah. So what I find is really interesting as well is, you're going to a surgeon, you go to the back experts, and the first thing they do generally, no, they don't do it on purpose, but the first thing they do is go, that's wrong.
Yeah.
You are buggered. Yeah. If you know what I mean, they go, oh Jesus, how are you even walking around like that? Yeah. Let's quickly get you here and cut this out, or stick these in, or first thing you should do to rehab this is not move it.
Yeah.
You know, so they do health by restriction. So then you'll never build up the capacity to actually move.
Yeah.
Because all they do is taking away, sometimes literally bits of your spine. Or it's not bits of your spine, pieces of movement. Yeah. And that just does nothing but, I think, breed that kind of confirmation and that fear and the unwillingness, as you say, pick up the kids. You're just petrified to do it, because everything that's put towards you is, you know, negative.
Yeah. I kind of like, I not that I blame myself for this, but again, almost part of doing this podcast is if anybody's kind of thinking or at the stage of kind of like, do I need an operation, stuff like that? Like, we're obviously not medical. I'm certainly not medical, so I'm not saying don't do that or whatever. You may need it, but just really think about it and get kind of second opinions and not a second opinion from another surgeon, right? Because the thing that makes me is stupid that I didn't do was, obviously a surgeon is going to say the solution is having an operation, because that is the surgeon's job.
That's what they like doing.
Yeah. So they're not going to go, oh yeah, you don't need any. But again, Gareth, as you said, thinking of the talk track the surgeon gave me, 95% of what he said was super negative about me and my body, and there was probably a 5% where he went, you know, you don't have to get surgery. You can probably fix this on your own. Kind of like, it was almost like a little caveat or something hidden in the kind of small print. You might be able to fix this, but I definitely suggest this, and this. And, you know, it's kind of like, you know, microdiscectomy is one kind of operation, you know, kind of having metal rods and plates in your back is kind of, not a place you kind of want to be, right? Unless you have to.
Yeah. And as I said, sometimes it does work. Sometimes it does fix people.
Yeah.
But in my experience, quite a large percentage of them end up in the same, if not worse, pain a year down the road.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it will work for some, but a lot of people it won't. And a lot of the time as well, it's not because the surgeon's done anything wrong. But if you put a big chunk of metal, for example, into somebody's back, your nervous system, your brain is going to be mighty confused.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah. Or people get worse as well. Like, so I think that's the other thing, is a lot of these procedures are considered successful because somebody gets a surgery and then they never move the same way again. But they're fine with that. They go, oh man, thanks for getting rid of that pain. Now that I'm pain free, I'll make sure I don't do, what was it, the rows, don't do the kettlebell swings. I'm never going to do any of these things again. So actually that's a successful outcome. And I mean, especially with some of the circus artists I've worked with, I've had some come in with nerve issues on their left arm, and then they get told they go to physio, and this is something that is their job, so they need to be able to do it. And the physio said, all right, I'm going to teach you how to be more right side dominant, and I'm just going to teach you how to do everything with your right hand, and we're going to work on opening jars and lids and stuff, so that you don't have to use your left hand because it's weak.
Which I think is crazy. To me, and I know to James as well, if anyone ever comes to do something and then the solution is, okay, you're out of pain, but you never do anything like that again, that to me is a big fat F. That's failure all over it. That is not successful whatsoever.
Yeah. And this is another interesting one. Again, around the time when I first met you guys, I was also then I'd also met at, to be fair, at this stage, you guys were part of this. We've gone to the negative, but even like we're talking about negative, right? I've had a lot of negative stuff here. I'd love to start getting onto the more positive kind of side of this now, which is kind of, you guys are a major part of that. But there's been a whole kind of team as well. there was a specific, pain guy who wasn't a surgeon who I met around here, who was the first guy. And then he then recommended another PT who was all about kind of movement and just kind of like, never do a squat again. His main goal was he wanted to squat. He wanted a rack on my, a bar on my back, and he wanted me squatting as soon as possible because it was like he was really annoyed by that kind of advice, and he kind of sees it a lot. And again, the kind of the pain specialist guy I saw, he kind of like did a bit of bending backwards, and like I brought my MRI scan and all that kind of stuff. He said, "Yeah, I had a look at your MRI scan," and it was probably the thing that was the first real step towards getting out of this problem I dug myself. And bear in mind, by this time it's like this is 5-6 years of pain. Really, there was kind of on and off with the injection, kind of lot, was 1.5 years without doing it and stuff like that. But effectively, and it really goes fast, right? It's kind of like you look back and you go, oh my God, I've actually been in pain for 5 years. This is madness. This is crazy. But he was the first one to I had my picture of my MRI scan, and I remember he looked at it and he went, "It looks fine to me." Bear in mind the surgeon guy had gone, "Oh, you've got scoliosis. Your spine's a bit bent. Actually, you might want to get." Bear in mind that this negative, that other part of my history, I've missed out about 1,000 other things I've tried and kind of like gone to get my feet measured. Is my one leg longer than the other? Your hips, you're not in the right position. It's where you've got the pain in your back. Your hips now turns like all. I've had everything. I've had absolutely everything. This was the first guy, this pain specialist guy I went to see, where he had the MRI scan and he looked at it and he went, "There's nothing wrong with that back." He goes, and then he brought up, and I don't know whether you guys are going to reference it. I think you guys have referenced this to me as well before, but there's like a famous study which talks about disc generation as you get kind of older, and it's like anybody who's like 30 to 40, you took an MRI scan of them, 20 to 30% of them would have a bulging disc. 40 to 50, it goes up to like 40% of people. 50 to 60, it's like something crazy, like 60% of people have got bulging discs with zero pain. Zero pain.
It's exactly that. And nobody's had the symptoms and gone to get checked. So people only go to get checked when they have pain. And then one of the other unfortunate things about the medical world as well is we kind of expect that they're going to give us the why. It's not necessarily their fault, because we go to them, and if they can't tell us why we're in pain, most people will say that doctor doesn't know what they're doing. And so they take a look and it's like, oh, wow, he has spine. And they start to see this pattern of like, oh, all these older people that we have coming in have disc degeneration in their spine, but they weren't checking the healthy people because the healthy people never came in to get checked.
Yeah, exactly. And he was the first person. He kind of said, look, let me suggest a PT for you who's more like a movement specialist. And I was like, okay. Then he was like, also, what else are you doing? I was like, well, I'm riding my bike, but they told me not to ride my bike and stuff like that. He said, go home now, get on your bike and just ride. And it was weird. I hadn't ridden my bike for ages, and I just got off my bike, like dusted it off, and did like a 10-mile ride, and felt so. And I messaged him the next day, going, "This is incredible! Like it's weird." And again, now we're getting to kind of the end. Now we're getting to the kind of like the power of the mind, and I would just like put it to one side, and I was like, "I'm not broken." It's so glad I've had an expert tell me I'm actually fixable and I'm not in as bad a place as I thought. Then I went to like the movement specialist, and again, just an example of where I was in terms of the dark place. He put like a 30-centimeter box on the floor and went, just do a box, jump onto that. I couldn't do it. My brain would not let me jump that. I couldn't get off the floor with my 2 feet. And I could see him, his face was going, oh my God. This is, like, he was obviously trying to be professional, but I could read his body language was like, this guy's in a bad place. And then he was like, the other thing was, he was like, right, go on a running machine, just jog. I couldn't make myself, I hadn't run for 4 years. Like I couldn't make myself move because I was so scared of, fear is such a huge thing. Fear was completely taken over my body. And there was a whole protective layer around my back thinking, do not do anything that could, but then it's almost like running is a general movement that a human being needs at something. I was thinking it actually happened where my son, we live quite near a busy road, that he almost went onto a busy road, And I in my head, I thought, I'm not going to be able to run to get him here. And it was kind of, again, a scary point where I was like, that's not normal. You need to fix this. And again, going on that journey, sort of met him, met the PT guy, actually kind of started doing some stuff with Tom Morrison and stuff. And then kind of found you guys. And, it's at this point then, I always call it like this. This is like a puzzle. It's been like a huge, very, very long, painful puzzle of trying to put osteopaths, PTs, back experts, surgeons, and I haven't found the solution. And I'm kind of a super competitive person as well. So I'm kind of like, it's been so annoying. I'm like, maybe the solution is going back to the gym and lifting heavy weights. No, that failed. Maybe it's completely resting. Just do not move your back. No, that's failed. Maybe it's kind of, and then all of a sudden, as I said, kind of few things start to fall in place. And then obviously working with you guys as well, I started going down a lot more this kind of mind, body, and the nervous system, and the brain and the power, and kind of talking to myself in a better way, and semantic tracking, and then the other key, which I know Gareth's going to like here, but is breathing. The absolute game changer of learning breathing. I've sent you guys all pictures and stuff. Oxygen Advantage, another plug for that book. That has been a life changer for me. So I didn't realize I've been, out of these 6 years, I don't know how long, but I've just been stuck in this fight or flight mode of breathing in my chest and mouth breathing, and not, sleeping as well as I could do, and just anxiety and pain in my neck when I'm on my computer, and kind of all that stuff. And it wasn't until I started going, oh, right, okay, nasal breathing, hold your breaths. Maybe it's a bit too much. Again, I don't know if people listen to this, but I'm mouth tape. I've been mouth tape sleeping for the last 2 months. Slept better than I've ever slept.
Did you get more vivid dreams? I find when I've
had a few very vivid dreams, but even the fear of like first sleeping on that night, I thought, God, am I going to die here? Like I'm taping up my mouth, but and just the kind of different things in terms of like every morning kind of going on a walk and doing the, breath holds while walking. I know even in the program you guys have put me, there's a whole breathe hold session of kind of squats in and I just say, actually, it was quite scary again, how my general health in terms of just like being out of breath or being tired by the end of the day, this whole effect of this whole injury and kind of feeling down on myself and people telling me I'm injured and not being able to pick up my kids and all this kind of stuff. It was scary how actually your actual general health and just like, I was going to bed like knackered at like 9 o'clock. Oh, like, I better go to bed. I'm pretty tired, kind of thing. And the difference now, and even just breathing correctly, breathing meditation, stuff like that has been absolutely, amazing for me.
It's mad, isn't it?
People find that they think, oh, it's breathing, it's just something I do naturally. But actually, a lot of people don't breathe right. And a brain that's already crapping itself, it's already in panic, it's already in threat.
Yeah.
All you're doing is starving it of more fuel.
Yeah.
And taking it out even more. It's unreal the amount of people who don't breathe right.
I can't remember if I said it to you both. I definitely said it to you, Gareth. I'm sure I know we have a few messages about this, but I then started also kind of, again, getting into like the vagus nerve and, stimulating the vagus nerve and everything. And by the way, everybody's like, listen, if anyone's kind of still listening to this and kind of on this journey, I'm not like spiritual or kind of like all this kind of stuff before, but I literally am in like meditation and stuff. I've never done until like the last year or so. But I found this kind of thing with the vagus nerve, which is a specific exercise to kind of activate it, where you kind of lie on your back and you put your eyes to the right-hand side, you take deep breaths and it activates a yawn. You then look to the left-hand side, keeping your head straight, you do some deep breaths, it activates another yawn. And then I started yawning and I thought, and it was actually madness. I sent it to Gareth. I was like, I don't think I've yawned for like 2-3 years. Maybe I have the odd time. But I've begun to yawn and for me, maybe I'm not, again, you guys are more experts than me, but for me, that's a sign that I'm coming out of flight or flight mode and I'm actually, relaxing and my body's kind of going back to the way it used to be before.
Did you feel whenever you were starting to yawn initially, because when you yawn, obviously your esophagus moves and everything, and that's just in front of your spine, obviously, but the muscles here expand at the back of the neck. For a lot of time, this gets tense. And when something's tense and locked up, you stop being able to feel it.
Yeah. And this is the thing, right? Again, I want to be honest with people who are listening to this. I'm not fully out of it. Talking to you guys now, I've got a bit of tension here in my neck, right? And I there was one point though where my kind of head, where this left hand, I've got all the problems down this left hand side of my back and stuff. My neck started. I started to, people used to take pictures of me, and my head was like that, and I was like, what's going on with my head? And like then it got to kind of like that. So it's taken me a long time to kind of get back to this and this, but still this bit overactivates and stuff quite a bit. But this vagus stuff, again, the part of the exercise is actually to put your hands behind your head and kind of look that way, and that's kind of worked a lot. But again, if you look at this as a journey, right? I've been in pain for 6 years. I don't know if you guys have got the stats when we first started kind of connecting. It maybe 4 months, 5 months, something like that.
It's around about that.
Yeah. So again, patience is a thing I've really struggled with, but I struggle with in general. But I was trying to look at this as like, well, you've been kind of 6 years of being told you're completely, it's the worst thing ever. You're never going to recover from this. Your sciatic nerve is gone forever. You're never going to be able to get the power back on your calf. You probably need another £25,000 operation to get that back fixed of yours. And then to actually, it's only really been 5 months that I've now gone into this. I can fix myself. Stop talking to yourself in negative way. Think about stimulating a nerve, meditate, breathe. Like, as you said, I've actually got I'm down in my kitchen because my kids are asleep now, but in my office, I've got like a whiteboard and I've actually write down breathe, which sounds stupid. But the amount of times when I'm on like an important customer call, we all do Zoom calls and stuff now. I still do it now where I'm kind of like talking, I'm activating, I'm tense. I'm kind of like, and then I'm like, breathe.
Well, yeah, it's autonomic, isn't it? It's you're not supposed to pay attention to it, but then the problem is when it's habitual in that kind of fight or flight breathing pattern that you don't necessarily want. It's not so good. And I think that's one of the big things where you said you're not spiritual, but you've got into this kind of stuff. I think for a lot of people, that's this huge barrier because they see like breathing and meditation is the hippie stuff, and hippies found it for a good reason because it's really useful.
Completely. I always remember in my office once years ago, I used to work in this office and there was a meditation room. I remember laughing at it going, what is that? Like, what the hell? And now if you give me a meditation, I won't go to the office unless there's a meditation room now that I can take a break for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. The old way was a cigarette break for 10 minutes. Now it's a meditation break for 10 minutes. I'm actually kind of being serious though. Like one of my key things here is, if I'm on a Zoom call for an hour, I need 15 minutes to kind of just do it. And so meditation for me isn't something you do at night, or it doesn't have to be something you do first thing in the morning. Actually breaking up your day when you've got at the moment, I'm on Zoom calls kind of again all the time now. It's kind of like, how do you break that up? And how do you kind of, because, 2 hours, 3 hours of kind of, and again, even though I know the stuff, you still get tension in your eyes. Whereas you guys are more than, the other thing I've massively learned, if your eyes are just standing in one or looking at one space for 3, they weren't really programmed to just look at a space for 3 hours, 2 hours. So even if I just kind of like take a break from the screen and do some kind of like, nears and fars and kind of, looking forward, and then actually, do a bit of a, breathing exercise, go for a 5-minute walk, whatever it is, it's so important for me for people, I think, to put little breaks in and don't take that break to look on your phone. That's what I used to do. It used to be, right, I've got a 15-minute break. Right, let's get Instagram out, or let's look at this. A big thing for me, again, getting out of chronic pain is this. So, but by the way, I know for you guys, it's your job. So I actually notice you guys are on Instagram and stuff all the time. And I don't know how I'd love to actually ask you guys the question back, to ask you guys a question on this podcast. I can't understand how you guys are always on this, and answering, but actually don't have, because one of the things I've done now is, and it's actually on it now, I think it's on sleep mode now. I try to, at like 7 o'clock, 8, when I've had a shower and everything, I leave it upstairs. I do not look at it. I do not scroll for Instagram. I also work for a US company, so I don't look at emails of customers and things that stimulate my brain before I go to bed. Yeah. And then in the morning, another key thing in the morning, because I used to wake up with my alarm clock on my iPhone, and I used to just, what's the first thing I do? Scroll through the emails and kind of maybe even answer a couple of emails, which again sounds mad to me now because I'm not doing it anymore. But, I used to answer some emails, do a couple of WhatsApps, then get in the shower, then go and have breakfast. So now again, it wakes me, I have my alarm wake me up. I don't look at it. I go into the shower, have a shower, interact with my family, most importantly, have breakfast with them. take them to school or say bye to my wife if she takes them to school, then I will start it, and look at my emails. And that won't be until 8 o'clock, 7:30, where it used to be 6 o'clock, 6:30, I'd be doing emails in bed. That is just not a way. That is not the future. Yeah. That is not the way forward. Go on, Gary. Yeah, go on, sorry. I kind of asked you guys a question there about your Instagram usage.
Oh, well, I try and do it. I kind of look at it in different positions, in different directions, in different distances. I try and vary how much I look at my phone as much as possible. But one of the key things I think you were talking about is taking a really regular break during the day, not doing it all in the morning or all at night. Because a lot of people think that they sit down for 40 minutes and do it at night. But actually, if you're being tense all day, you're letting all that build up all day to try and chip away at it in 40 minutes.
Yeah.
You're taking regular breaks, you're not letting it build up. Do you know what I mean? So you're actually staying at a lot more of a nice even keel, which is key for anyone trying to get out of pain. Because if they build up until they're in loads and loads of pain and they're just trying to chip away at it for 40 minutes or an hour, it's not going to work.
Yeah, big tasks don't work for your motivation either. Like you go like, oh, I've got all this work to do. And then you start putting that off and then you start getting anxious because you're putting off the work that you're not doing. And then your pain's getting worse because you're getting anxious. And it's not a good...
Can I just also, I'm thinking I haven't really spoken much about you guys too much here. And I kind of want to also definitely speak about you guys as we're coming near the end now. I know we're kind of, trying to wrap up a little bit on this bit, but and then kind of obviously meeting you guys and I've kind of used a lot of apps before, right? Classically, looking at my phone now, I've got a ton of kind of fitness apps and calorie trackers and back specific kind of, this will fix your back in 6 months, and by the way, every PT says we'll fix your back in 3 months. That's the classic. I'm sure everyone who's had back pain has kind of had that problem and stuff. So we didn't have that real conversation with you guys, but just I'd never seen programs that you guys I've never seen it before, and I thought this was this kind of the end of the puzzle kind of thing. I thought I'd had every program. I thought I'd had every PT. I thought I'd had listened to I didn't got to the stage where I'm almost like lost because I thought, well, I've tried everything here. I've actually tried everything. And then you guys kind of literally opened my eyes to kind of exercising your eyes and exercising, your nervous system. And again, James, I think you guys remember kind of after I'd done, I don't know, my first week or second week, I was obsessed with like slacking, the slacking. Yeah,
the nerve slacking.
A massive thing for me because I was like, oh my God, how can just like bending my ankle to the side and then kind of moving my back there's things that are going on in my body that kind of doesn't feel like they haven't been moved for so long. And then when you mix that up with kind of, as you said, like the closing your eyes and kind of doing stuff and the balance and because again, for me, I've always been told, well, you're 6'3", you don't really worry about touching your toes or like, your balance is kind of, you've just got terrible balance because you're so tall. And now it's only now I'm kind of learning and stuff like that, as in like, you can actually teach that and you can actually remap what your brain's doing and stuff like that. And again, some of the exercises that you guys have done, I've never seen before. Another good one, again, I want to give Gareth some credit. I've just given James some credit. The side bend.
QL.
The QL bend. I mean, I've done a million of them, right? I've been the classic guy holding a massive 20 kilogram, to the side, doing this kind of thing like that. The one I saw Gareth's one, I was like, and it was a brilliant sell from him because actually at this point I hadn't signed up to the app yet, and he showed me that. And there was the other one where you put the big green band across your thing, your shoulder, and you kind of do, what's that one called, Gav?
Yeah, banded trap release.
Yeah, banded trap. Oh my God, because this was I hadn't really had an exercise for this area. I've been doing kind of like band pull aparts and things like that, but those two kind of exercises to me just blew my brain. I was like, oh my God, this is getting an area that I hadn't got to. Then I kind of got into the app, get it into like the slack movements, the kind of eye exercises and stuff. And, again, the kind of the end of the story is I would say I'm kind of like 90-95% now kind of out of it. I still get flare-ups and kind of the odd bit of pain and all that kind of stuff. But again, it's quick credit to you guys. I've worked with lots of PTs and online stuff and that. No, you guys are so kind of responsive, and also the program is specifically built for a person, right? You guys we've had it before where I'm like, hey, Gareth, this is getting a bit kind of, I can do this now. This is like a 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10. Can we kind of change this up? Can we add something in to do it? And bang, next day it's kind of uploaded. We've got some more stuff, and you're upping the tension. You're upping the kind of the progress, because you plateaued or something like that. And it really does feel like a really personalized experience that you get from you guys.
I think that's kind of our outlook, because both me and James, obviously, we've done our own rehab as well.
Yeah.
And we find that we've been told to do this, and this will work for you, and it's just given out to everybody. And that, to be honest, is crap. Nothing works for everybody. So you can't do a rehab or a pain management or a mobility, flexibility type product without custom building it. Well, you shouldn't really do it without custom building it for every single person, because every single person has a different nervous system, has a different brain, has whatever's going on in their life is different, and the way we sort of, James, I think you'll probably agree with me, the way we approach it is the muscles and joints are important, but they're not that as important as working your nervous system and the brain. So, the muscles will move the bones.
Yeah.
But what moves the muscles? Would you not rather fix the problem at the start point?
Yeah.
And that's a big thing That's a big thing for me as well, is just having that idea. So like just having that not be weird. Like in the gym, people will do the bicep curls and they'll do the rowing and all of that. But if they see you doing eye exercises at the moment, that's kind of like, what's that guy doing? So, people need a certain degree of confidence. And I especially know there's some people that, I find exercises that are really useful for them, but they look ridiculous. And so one of the things is I really want to see this stuff become more normal, because it can be really good for people. But if it doesn't, if you look like the odd one out in the gym or where you're training, that can be a real problem as well. You just don't want to venture there.
And I'm super convinced that the way the gym is structured and stuff is going to absolutely change in the next 2, 3, 5. I think when you're looking like 5, 10 years, you will be seeing everybody with different colors, doing movement stuff, all that stuff that the kind of people we follow on Instagram and stuff now that I kind of follow after following from you guys. People are going to be training their brains, the way their movement, their eyes, their nervous system. It's definitely going to change, because people can't just sit at a computer for 10 hours and then go to the gym and do chest press. It's kind of what I did and kind of went wrong. So
that's it. And it's already starting now. You see, it's very well documented in Premier League or high level football. Everyone's all vision training, and they think it's coordination drills and all that. It's just visual exercises. They are training the nervous system. But now the next big fashionable one will be the vestibular system. You already see it floating out now. It'll be like training balance, by training the vestibular system. That will keep creeping out. And I agree. In the next 5 to 10 years, I think pain management will totally change, because the NHS now have pain clinics where they're talking about how it's all nervous system and brain based, which is great. But not very many throughout the country, but they're starting. You start seeing now Instagram that they start bringing out the terms that me and James would use for edges, or there'll be a course will have the word neuro in front of it. Yeah. Because they use little snippets of nervous system training. So it's all going in the right direction. Yeah. But the stuff's already there. It's almost as if the public's just waiting for it to be really nicely packaged up so that everybody can do it at once. But yeah, me and James just like being the weirdos.
All right, so just looking at time here, so we're going to have to wrap it up. Thank you very much, Stephen, for talking us through that. I will absolutely love taking the credit that you've given us. And also, I'd like to give you quite a lot of credit as well, because as I said, this sort of pain management, it takes work, and it takes learning your body, understanding your body, and you've clearly put the reps in for that, and we're really happy to see how you've been progressing.
Cool, guys. Yeah, and I really appreciate you coming on. And actually, it's quite good. It's like therapy speaking to you guys. So it was good to kind of get everything off the chest again. And as I said, if hopefully some people that are kind of maybe going on that same journey can listen to this and kind of get any kind of benefit from it, then then good. And feel free to, I don't know, mention my name or something if anybody wants to kind of reach out, or they're a member of the Nerve Guys. I'm kind of always on that chat community, kind of taking the mickey out of one of you two. So feel free to kind of. Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. Great to meet you. Thanks a lot.
Have a good night.
Cheers. Bye. Bye.